Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. I am happy to be back, community. Thank you. I know y'all been like, the bishop has been down. I've been down. Okay, yeah, I got rear-ended this Monday. I had a loss in the family. I took a COVID-19 booster shot. People today was, oh, Bishop, we got to get out of here, go lay down. Okay, I'm here, okay? Sister Io is out today dealing with some family issues. And, we pray for her. I don't know what's going on, but, anytime you elevate, it seems like the enemy is attacking. I don't know. Things are happening, but we're not going to give the enemy none of that glorious conversation. We're going to keep it positive for the community because the community is what we need. Uplift each other. But Sister Al, we'll see you when you get back. But community, I want to start off today. A couple of reasons I want to get started today is it's the first of the month. It's not any first of the month. It is the first day of Black History Month, okay? And I am excited because what I saw today, and some of our team was out in community today, I saw power. I saw Black excellence. I see resilience. I see some of my ancestors reincarnated some amazing people. That's all I got to say. I don't know. I'm excited. It's the first day of Black History Month. We always like to uplift our leaders and folks in community that are doing things to impact community. Our 45th mayor, Mayor London Breed, we honored her today as the first Black woman to run the mayor's seat in San Francisco. We got a lot of phenomenal women and men that are making impact, changing the narrative, holding up this current history, because y'all know I'm not a historian, okay? I always tell you, I'm not a historian. I'm a futurist, but hey, I'm in the future with my people, okay? But I always respect my elders. I respect my ancestors, but I'm talking about the change makers of today. And we have some phenomenal change makers. So with that being said, I want to give the Human Rights Commission of San Francisco a huge shout out. They did a phenomenal job putting together the Dreaming Forward event as we continue to talk about what the dream moving forward looked like. We talk about the Dreamkeeper Initiative, some of the investments that's taking place to impact Black and brown communities in San Francisco. $120 million was taken out to support Black and brown community. They put on a phenomenal event today. 600 plus people were there. I mean, the house was packed. I got to give it up for Black San Francisco showing up. I got to give it up to my folks in the East Bay. Folks from Oakland was there. Folks from San Jose. Folks from Richmond. Folks from Philadelphia. It was people all over the place. And the young people was there. We always want to uplift the young people. It's great to see our leaders transitioning and making sure that the young people are involved. We had a number of panel discussions, but it was great to see the young people out there today. So it was great event. Alicia Garza was off the hook today, community. If you missed any of it today, I know it was raining. Folks couldn't make it. We streamed it live on our Both Sides of the Conversation YouTube, as well as San Francisco Gov TV. We shared the links. Please go back and check out some of what took place today. Phenomenal event. And then day 2 tomorrow, the HBCU Divine 9 is coming to San Francisco City Hall. It's going to be off the hook. You're going to see all of the Zetas, all of the Deltas, all the AKAs, all the fraternities. I don't know. It's going to be some stepping going on. There's going to be some things happening. But again, it's just great to see on the first day of Black History Month going into this weekend as we continue to uplift our ancestors and respect all of the folks of this month. We have Lunar New Year coming up. We want to make sure everybody is represented and uplifted. And folks are getting ready for the Chinese New Year's parade. It's a lot of things going on. So I'm just excited. I'm sweaty and chilly today, but I'm here, okay? When I will show up for the people in pain. I'm at muscle tension today. I don't know, but I'm here for the people, so I'm excited about that. With that being said, Brother Mark, the voice is here. He's been holding it down while I've been nursing. I've been nursing my injuries. Mark, how's it been, brother?
Man, it's good to see you, Bishop, as always, and nothing but an honor and a privilege to be with you. Community, man, happy Black History Month. So glad to be back here on both sides of the conversation. Can't wait. Looking forward to the big event towards the end of this month to come out there and celebrate with all the people. But as always, glad to be in the house.
Man, glad to have you here. Mark is the voice. He is the reverend. He's the ordained reverend, okay? I'm the bishop. I'm not an ordained bishop, okay? Y'all better stop coming for me out there in the community. The community gave me that name. I just received it. That's all. But again, yes, speaking of our bowling event, people was walking up to us today asking, yes, the bowling event is getting close to taking off. We are 24 days from our award ceremony, 25 days away from our amazing bowling event. You don't want to miss it. We about a little past the halfway point of registration. I told y'all we only get 1,000 people in the building. Okay, y'all know. Don't be all trying to wait till the last week and sign up. Okay, we got buses that's going to be picking up folks from the Baby YMCA, taking people to the bowling alley. We got buses that's going to be picking up folks from the Triple AC over in the Fillmore. For this event. Is going to be a great event. Our award ceremony is going to be spectacular this year. When we talk about acknowledging folks in community that are making impact, that are changing the narrative, doing the work, dreaming to make San Francisco a better place. It's some phenomenal organizational leaders and folks that are doing great work in community. We're going to celebrate those folks as well as our both sides of the conversation team and some of the amazing folks in community. So with that being said, all right, we'll get into some of this news. I don't know. I don't like the news today. I think that was good news. I don't want to get into the bad news, but just want to go through a couple of what's going on. Biden has ordered targeting Israel settlers who attacked West Bank. He put an executive order in today going after the folks who've been attacking Palestine. So we'll see how that look as tensions in the Middle East is heating up. I don't know if y'all been paying attention. We got some stuff going on. I don't know what's going on. But we got to watch out. Also in Oregon, the high court says 10 GOP state senators who staged lone walkout can't run for re-election. 10 Republican senators who staged a record lone walkout last year to stall bills cannot run for re-election. Very terrible stuff. But they voted on today. It passed. Again, we got some phenomenal Educational Thursday guests today, and we'll be able to talk to them about what does bipartisan look like? What are we trying to do? So I'm looking forward to tonight's guest and see what's going on. And then we had a bipartisan child tax credit passed in the House, but the Milwaukee Senator Gwen Moore, she voted no against it. I don't know what happened, okay? All of her life, she ran on for kids and children, and then she went against the bill. I don't know. We'll find out more about it. Be all over the news. We'll see what's going on. But again, it's about the people. And we got to remember, it's about the people. When these folks take these seats, are they really about the people? Tonight, we'll be able to ask those questions. Tonight, we got two phenomenal candidates, so we'll be able to ask that as well. Also, the Pineapple Express atmospheric river is hitting California. I don't know if y'all been out there today. It is storming. It's been raining all day. Accidents all over the place. People are like slamming into each other. Community, slow down, okay? It's raining outside. The roads are slippery as oil. Slow down out there. Public service announcement. Slow down when it's raining, okay? Too many accidents backing up our freeways. Also, in San Francisco, during the drug tourism report, there's a lot of folks who come to San Francisco to get high and use drugs. And some of the San Francisco supervisors wants the controller office to produce an annual report to track those folks who are just saying, hey, I want to come to San Francisco, get high and get on fentanyl and hang on the streets and cause problems in the city. There's a big issue that's going on to clean up some of what's taking place. And it is an issue. Folks from other states, other cities are coming into San Francisco, tearing up the city and making it a place where folks don't want to come. And we got to fix that. So shout out to the supervisors trying to make that change. I know there's a lot of work at the mayor's office, the DA's office. Everybody's trying to do something to combat this drug issue in San Francisco. I don't think it's just in San Francisco community. It's all over the country. This fentanyl issue is taking over our communities. We got to take our communities back. We have to say no to fentanyl. And we got to make sure we bring the education and awareness to community. This drug is very deadly, and we want to make sure that we're doing our part to uplift the changes. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the voice so we can get through these events and get our guests up here for tonight, brother.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the community events. And our first event, the African American Arts and Cultural Complex, invites you to the Season of Black Art inaugural event, introducing the October 2023 through February 2024 season at the AAACC, kicking off a captivating celebration of Black creativity and culture with special guests and performers. For more info, register for free tickets. See the link below. And the SF, African American Historical and Cultural Society, presents Black History Month kickoff on Friday, February 2nd at noon at the City Hall Rotunda. And Black to San Francisco, an evening celebration, will be held on Friday, February 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at City Hall, North Light Court. All are welcome as we gather in honor of HBCU alumni and the Divine Nine members. Read, baby, read, learn, baby, learn. The SFHRC and partners invite the community to a day of reading, learning, and fun on February 3rd from 12 to 2 p.m. at Fillmore Heritage Center. All are welcome to attend. And come out to the 14th annual Bayview Black History Month and Lunar New Year celebration on Saturday, February 3rd from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Bayview YMCA. There will be cultural performances, toy giveaways, games, raffles, food, and community resource information. And Into Action presents Equity Keys Series, a housing resource fair on Saturday, February 3rd from 11:30 to 2:30 p.m. at the Geneva Powerhouse. SF Rec and Park presents City Job Fairs 2024, February 3rd from 10 to 1 p.m. at the County Fair Building. For more info, see the link below. And the SFOEWD will host a community virtual budget discussion on Tuesday, February 6th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. to discuss the Economic Development Program and resources. Please RSVP for this event. Black Star Rising's Freedom Academy is accepting registration from SFUSD 8th grade students only for Saturday's STEM and Culturally Relevant Engineering Concepts program on Saturdays from February 17th through April 20th from 10 a.m. to noon at the SFUSD's iLab. Deadline to register is February 7th. For more info, see the link below. And save the date. SF Water, Power, Sewer, the SECC and SFOEWD invites you to celebrate Black History Month with us, February 8th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Southeast Community Center. And the SF Brown Bombers host the 2023 Awards Banquet to celebrate 24 years of excellence on Friday, February 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. at St. Mary's Cathedral. 2023 rostered participants and 2 parents may attend for free, $10 for additional guests. And the SF Ocean Ingleside Lions Club presents a student speaker contest on Saturday, February 10th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Ingleside Branch Library. The topic for the 2023-2024 contest is For a Better World, What Would You Change? For more info, see the info below. Save the date for Kesh Cares' 3rd annual Give Back Day on February 10th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Ruth Williams Opera House. Register to provide resources or to volunteer. And the SFHRC and Partners presents Drum Beats, Heartbeats, and Communities as One 2024 with SETI X, Kippy Marks, and Lion Dance Me and the Denia Dance and Drum on Tuesday, February 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the SF Public Library. The African American Achievement and Leadership Initiative hosts the annual Board of Education presentation on February 13th at 6:30 p.m. The presentation will center the experiences of Black students, their families, and Black educators in SFUSD. Arrival by 6 p.m. is suggested, and in-person public comment is greatly needed and appreciated. Project Glimmer hosts Empower Hour series with Charles Schwab on Thursdays from January 25th through February 15th at 4 p.m. via Zoom. Registration info is below. And the SF Alliance of Black School Educators presents the annual African American Honor Roll celebration on February 16th at 5:30 p.m. at the Chase Center. Mr. Predictor Live and Unplugged presents the 30th anniversary celebration with Ski, aka Took, and special guest on February 22nd at the Brick and Mortar. Tickets are $30 online. There's a $250 VIP table, which includes 4 drink tickets. For more info, see the link below. Renaissance Black and White Ball on Friday, February 23rd from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Fromm Hall, USF. Third Parent Family and Youth Services will host the Financial Literacy Workshop Series on Friday, February 23rd from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Google Community Space. This is a free event and is for high school students. Registration is required. And the YMCA and DKI invites you to the Black History Parade and Community Party on February 24th. The parade starts at 11 a.m. from the Bayview Opera House and ends at the Southeast Community Center. The community party starts at 1:30 at the Southeast Community Center. There'll be food, entertainment, a kid zone, and so much more will be offered. And save the date. Author and outdoor Afro founder Will presents Trailside Talk, Nature Swagger with Rue Map on February 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Eco Center at Heron Park. See the link below. And Into Action announces the Black Cultural Preservation Mini Grants Cycle 3, opening on January 25th and closing on February 26th. From March 1st through May 31st, you can get up to $9,500 in funding for Black cultural preservation events in the Tenderloin, Lakeview, Sunnydale, Visitation Valley, and OMI. To apply, see the link below. New Doors presents a 6-month paid internship that includes supportive services, skill building workshops, and pays $19.44 an hour. The next cohort begins February 27th. Weekly trainings on Tuesday and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. For more info, see the link below. And Legacy's African American Support Group is a safe space for African American caregivers to discuss relevant topics and life challenges. They meet every Wednesday from January 24th through February 29th, 2024, from 6 to 8 p.m. via Zoom. Gift cards and certificates will be given upon completion. 5 key schools and programs will host the Introduction to Google Workspace Workshop Series on Tuesdays from February 6th through March 5th and Thursday, March 7th at the Southeast Community Center. Mornings and afternoons are available. For more info, see the link below. And because Black is still beautiful and Stand in Peace will host the Harriet Tubman Day Brunch and Underground Shiro Ceremony on Sunday, March 10th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Southeast Community Center. And the Society for Cultural Advancement invites you to Rise and Thrive, a free community impact event on March 16th. From 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the AAACC. This event focuses on financial empowerment, home ownership, entrepreneurship, wealth building, and investing, and refreshments will be provided. And River of Life Church is accepting signups for River of Code, Spring Session 2024 on Mondays and Wednesdays from January 29th through April 3rd at 4:30 p.m. at the River of Life Church. Learn computer skills, coding, building, and engineering. For more information, see the link below. YCD, Bridging the Gap, and Bay Area Desperados presents WAGA 19, the War Against Gun Activity, 19-year anniversary on Saturday, April 13th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Bayview Opera House. All ages are welcome to enjoy live entertainment and food. And save the date. Hip Hop TV presents the first annual Fashion and Art Gala 2024 in honor of Chantel Herndon on Saturday, April 27th from 6 to 9 p.m. All proceeds will go to Chantel's children. For more details, see the information is to follow. Neighborhood Emergency Response Team, full training, March 26th through May 1st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the SF Fire Department, Divisions of Training. Tickets available at Eventbrite. Come out for Estate Planning 101 with housing and economics rights advocates on the second Thursday of each month from February 8th through June 13th at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Booker T. Washington Community Service Center. Registration is required. For more info, see the link below. The SOA presents City is Mine Technology and Sports Camp. Camp is scheduled for April 2nd through November the 26th from various times at various locations for ages 7 to 16. For more info, see the link below. And the APRI is hiring a Community Innovation Lab site manager. For more info, follow the link below. Kids in the City presents Hair 101 Workshop on Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Chase Center. All youth 7 to 17 will learn about hair and what makes it unique. All supplies are provided. Registration info is below. And the SECC invites you to join us at the Hungry Cafe from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the co-working eatery and social space with delicious bites and local coffee at the Southeast Community Center. And the SFOEWD and Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center are offering business support services for small business entrepreneurs in the Bayview and Fillmore. See the number and link below. And Dream Team announces buy, sell, trade, size swap, and consignment. All sneakers here are sold below market rate. Minding Our Black-Owned Business Initiative, powered by the BWOPA, TAO honors outstanding Black women entrepreneurs who embody the spirit of cooperative economics. Nominate your favorite Black woman-owned business. For more info, see the link below. And the Dreamkeeper Initiative announces the Senior Home Repair Program with an up to $50,000 forgivable loan to low to moderate income senior and or disabled homeowners residing in historically distressed and underserved neighborhoods in San Francisco. For more info, see the link below. And the SF Human Rights Commission has regular bi-monthly commission meetings on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. in the SF City Hall Room 416. You can also attend via Zoom. And Fathers to Founders hosts child support clinics every Tuesday and Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 232 6th Street. Receive essential guidance on child support debt reduction, resolving driver's license holds, pursuing custody of your children, and establishing visitation rights. For clinic appointments, call the number below. And Dreamkeeper announces the Down Payment Assistance Loan Program. You could receive up to $500,000 for a down payment assistance and up to $30,000 for closing costs and be connected with housing counselors, lenders, and realtors. For info, see the link below. Walters Wellness Group invites you to Sip, Paint, and Center every first, third, and fifth Friday, where you can unwind and set the tone for your weekend, fueled by tea, creativity, and grounding, hosted by Dr. Kathia Walters and the Walters Wellness Group. For more info, see the link below. And join Fathers to Founders for Fatherhood Reimagined Therapy Group Sessions, held every Tuesday night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Ongoing. They started in October, and they are continuing at 232 6th Street in San Francisco. There will be food served at each session. For more info, see the link and the number below. And APRI is hosting youth workshops, offering job referrals, resume building, skill building, internships, professional networking, and community service hours at 1301 Evans Avenue in San Francisco. To schedule a Zoom or phone appointment, see the link and number below. And come out to Fillmore's Friday Night Market every Friday from 4 to 9 p.m. on Old Farrell Street between Fillmore and Steiner for live music, barbecue, soul food, frozen desserts, retail vendors, games for kids, a dominoes tournament, prizes, and entertainment. Vendor booths are available. Register at the link below. And the new vaccination site offers the COVID-19 booster and the monkeypox antiviral pill treatment Thursdays from 1 to 5 p.m. at 330 Ellis Street, as well as Saturdays from 12 to 4 p.m. at 1221 Mission Street. And the community living room, open all day, Monday through Friday, serving breakfast from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. with a grab-and-go lunch from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. at the City of Hope Cafe at 750 Ellis Street in San Francisco. And the San Francisco Office of Financial Empowerment announces Smart Money Coaching, which provides free, confidential, one-on-one financial guidance. The program is available to anyone living, working, or receiving services in San Francisco in English or Spanish with additional translation services as requested. For more info, see the number and the link below. And the Bayview Collective and both sides of the conversation are calling all Bayview community members to help shape the future of our community together. The Bayview Collective is conducting a survey to tap into the heart of our district, you. Your insights will directly influence the initiatives we undertake and enhance the quality of life in our vibrant community. Take the survey at the link below. And be a mentor in SFUSD. You can join SFUSD's school-based mentoring program, Mentoring for Success. Sign up to be a volunteer as an individual or group mentor district-wide. For more info, see the link below. And both sides of the conversation is calling on conscious individuals and organizations to sponsor our third annual African American History Bowling event and award ceremony. The award ceremony will be held on February 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. and the bowling event will be hosted on February 25th from 2 to 5 p.m. For more info on sponsorship, please see the links below. And both sides of the conversation need your skill and ability to engage our youth. We're looking for community members to participate in basketball and recreational activities and mentor youth on Saturdays at the San Francisco Juvenile Detention Center. Stipends will be paid. For more info, see the link below. And would you like to promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact? Then sign up for our Hidden Gems show or share your expertise on Educational Thursdays, or you can be a panelist on one of our Sunday conversations. And you can also keep up with both sides of the conversation's latest shows and community outreach events. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can also subscribe to our newsletter at bsotc.org. And both sides of the conversation welcomes individuals who are interested in giving back to their community to join us as volunteers. We value the positive impact volunteers can make and invite you to be part of our mission to uplift and support our community. And also, both sides of the conversation does kindly request your invaluable support to our podcast and community engagement endeavors. We cordially invite you to explore any of our donation links, as your generous contributions will greatly aid us in enhancing our programming. And we would like to take this time to acknowledge the Dreamkeeper Initiative and its support of both sides of the conversation's programming. The Dreamkeeper Initiative amplifies the voices of and invest in San Francisco's diverse Black communities to reform public safety and address structural inequities in San Francisco. To learn more, see the link below. And don't forget, we also have upcoming shows, our Sunday Conversation On February 4th, we are going to kick off part 1 of understanding gender roles in relationships. That's going to be a good conversation. And also next Tuesday, we will be having our hidden gems. So please tune in.
Hey, Brother Mark, I'm going to just tell you, man, they don't know how hard it is to get to all these events, okay, community? But listen, we do this intentionally, okay? This is Educational Thursday. We want to make sure the biggest assessment that we took in the community was folks did not know how to connect. Right now, with the economic crisis that's happened, folks are looking for jobs, training. So I know it takes us a little while to get through the start of the show, but we got to make sure the information gets out there to the community. And we want Mark to get a second to wet his whistle so he can go ahead and introduce. Tonight, we have 2 candidates from the Alameda County Democratic Central Community and Assembly District 18 that's going to be here. Very important. And then everybody's texting me. They like, John Henry, you didn't talk about the 49ers. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to blow up the spot. The Niners is in the Super Bowl, okay? We will be in Vegas. I know my people in Oakland are like, y'all coming to our stadium. I don't know. Hey, the San Francisco 49ers is there. Should be a great, great game. And yeah, San Francisco, everybody mad at me. They text me, why you ain't say that about the Niners? Okay, Niner fans, Niner gang, bang, bang. We'll be out there. All right. With that being said, Brother Mark, go ahead and introduce this candidate, and then we'll get our guests up and get into tonight's presentation, brother.
Absolutely, with no further ado. Miss Rowena Brown was born and raised in San Francisco Bay Area. She is an alumni of Peralta Community Colleges and Mills College, where she obtained a BA in political science. Rowena served as an advocate for change while serving as the ASMC Vice President and Social Justice and Diversity Chair. As a result of her dedication to teaching and the importance of civic engagement to youth in Oakland Public Schools, she was awarded the Changemaker of the Year award. Rowena has worked for local government in the city of Oakland, working to improve the lives of East Oakland residents during the global pandemic, and more recently, she has had the opportunity to manage her first political campaign. In addition, she now serves as District Director for Assemblymember Mia Bonta, representing us in the California legislature. And she also recently graduated from the University of California Law class of 2023. So with no further ado, let us introduce to some and present to others, Ms. Rowena Brown.
Hey now, thank you so much, Mark, and thank you so much, John, for having me on the show. It's truly an honor. And so just kind of happy to kind of kick it off. Good evening, folks. Happy Black History Month. I know I'm excited. I feel like the night before, it's almost like it's Christmas, right? Where we're gearing up for just a month full of activity. And so it was beautiful hearing all the things that are happening in our local community, right? Because that's what keeps us tight. That's what keeps us uplifted. So thank you for having me. Really the focus on our conversation tonight is about what's on the ballot. With much intention, I wanted to join this conversation in an educational space. And so tonight's conversation is going to center so much around voter education, what's on the ballot. Also with me to just kind of share knowledge and us to go back and forth. My friend, also fellow candidate running for Central Committee with me is Adrian Abuyan. So lovely to have you with me. Ultimately, I think our goal, kind of first off, I would like to share out a little bit more about myself to the community, because I think it's important, because, sometimes candidates will show up on the ballot and you're like, who is this person? And I really want to make sure that the community knows that I've been, doing the work and just some of the exciting things that just really bring me joy and why I'm showing up to really meet the moment, right? And then additionally, I'll allow Adrian, I want you to share with the community who you are and why you're so phenomenal. And then we'll kind of dive into the presentation that we've prepared about a central committee and what that is. That's going to be very exciting. And then kind of open it up for question and answers. So that's kind of just that lay of the lay of the land. Kind of what Mark mentioned in the intro. Those are just kind of some key things about me, but I think it's important for the community to know. Sometimes you show up in these spaces and folks are like, oh wow, this sister is very well educated, and this is true. But that doesn't come without struggle. And so ultimately, you know, I do like to share out a little bit about my upbringing. Born in Richmond, California. My family moved us to Pinole when I was in the 3rd grade. I like to think that that was one of the best decisions that my dad could have made for us. I had the opportunity to attend some amazing public schools. And, you know, actually one of the first times I actually engaged in in civic engagement was in the 3rd grade, where the entire class got to participate in pretending we were voting for the next president. And I remember as a 3rd grader actually being really heartbroken that my candidate did not win. And I didn't understand why. I'm not going to tell you which election it was, because then, you know, folks will be like, oh, she young. But and so that was one of my first moments where I was like, oh wow, this is really important. And then we kind of fast forward a little bit more. You know, we all know our beloved Congresswoman Barbara Lee. And back in 2001, how she was the only one to vote against a war, right? So all of these just kind of key figures in my life. And I remember thinking like, wow, I think it's really interesting the work that they're doing and not seeing too many folks of color in that space. And so that was always kind of like on my mind. And then, you know, as we know, in our communities, life happens, right? So by the time I turned 17, my senior year, you know, I lost both of my parents. And so that was definitely one of those moments where I had to, you know, where my peers were gearing up to go off to college and have a whole different lives. My whole life changed. And so I actually ended up spending, you know, 7 years working for a corporate organization before I actually decided, hey, you know what, I want to go back to school. So that's a little bit about just kind of like a short story, right? Around like, you know, not all of us kind of get to join this space right off the bat. But that also kind of shows a little bit about like lived experience as well. And so in 2009, I ended up moving to the city of Oakland. I was working for a nonprofit that centered young people in OUSD, working to provide glasses, eye exam and glasses to K through 12 students. And when I was working in those schools, it was interesting just seeing, you know, just so many of the dynamics that really impact our young people. And ultimately, when a young person can't see, they're not learning. And so that really kind of that was kind of the first step along my journey and falling in love with Oakland. And so that further led me into you know, you'll hear from Adrian. We are both proud Peralta College alums, attending both Laney and Merritt College. And so, you know, I attended my first kind of political science class. And I like to say that, you know, the rest was history, right? Once I learned that, you know, the true impacts of policy making and how that impacts our community. And then I would go on to learn even more when I transferred to Mills College, where I had the opportunity to actually teach 8th grade civics education to Oakland youth in East Oakland. And, you know, it was actually very insightful to learn, well, not insightful, it hurt my heart that, you know, these the goal was for them to tackle a community-based issue. And when I tell you these 8th graders and the issues that they were sharing with me around like, you know, what it takes just to walk to school safely and walk home, right? And ultimately the young people that I taught, they ended up wanting to tackle the issue of gun violence. And the work that we did together actually landed us doing a presentation at the Department of State in San Francisco. And that's how I won that award relative to being Change Maker of the Year. And so that was just kind of like a little bit of the footing there. And then ultimately, as mentioned, you know, I spent the entire, I ended up, you know, my first job kind of outside of graduating from Mills, ended up working for a recently elected city council member. And, you know, who knew that the pandemic was coming, right? And so, and that was actually one of my first moments where I we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and it was kind of my first moment where I was actually okay. Like I could wake up every morning not worried about, oh, do I have enough money to pay my bills, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I spent every day of the pandemic showing up for the community, because that is what I knew that needed to happen. And when I say showing up for the community, I'm talking about the newsletters that I see you all put out, where we're letting the community know, hey, go here to get testing, go here for, this booster shot. Hey, they're doing, food here, cook meals, right? So that was definitely how I spent the entire pandemic. Also learned so much about the behind the scenes of what's happening in our Oakland government, and it really kind of propelled me forward to pursue law school and to learn more about how we can impact the laws that ultimately govern so much of our lives. And so and that led me to work for our now state assembly member Mia Bonta. It's been a ride of a lifetime, and all of this has been leading me to really this moment now where I'm showing up to, run for office, be on the ballot, right? To really help try to improve so many of the conditions. And so now I'm going to hand it over to Adrian. We would love to, I'm sure the community wants to know a little bit about you as well.
Sure. I can't help but saying thank you for having me this evening. All those events you went through, I have to say, if you choose one of them, clearly they're rooted in an ability and desire to bring people to events, not only engage them, but equip them with some tools and some knowledge that can change their life and the life of their families. It's incredible to see that. So I see why you go through those, because how else do you find that information? So thank you for sharing that, be that central place where people can see that. As you know, my name is Adrian Abuyan, and I was born in Burbank, California, believe it or not. Come up here when I was 1, but my family hails from the Central Valley of California. When I say the Central Valley, the big city that people know of is Bakersfield. That's not where they're from. They're from Delano, Tulare, cool California weed patch, small towns. My parents' first jobs were turning grapevines in the fields, following the crop, right? So I'm Filipino Mexican, right? A product of the valley, right? My father moved here primarily because my father had respiratory issues. So we got to come here with my tia, who moved to the Bay Area. So that's how we got here. But anyway, as Rowena said, I'm a proud graduate of the Pearl Community College District. What does that mean, right? Because I got to cut my teeth in what community organizing is, what my education means more than just getting a good grade or earning a paycheck, what that means to my ability and desire to impact community. And that's all because of people who brought me up, people who opened the doors for me. Some people tell me you don't need to talk so much about how people brought you somewhere, agent, or helped you, but it matters because you give credit where credit is due, and we don't get somewhere alone, right? And for me, those people open up those doors for my grandmother and my grandfather, right? Or my adopted grandma and grandfather, right? At College of Alameda, I applied for a scholarship, and the dean, Tony Cook, who used to serve on the OUSD Board of Education in Oakland, brought me to office. I didn't know him from anywhere. He said, young man, I got your application. I don't decide on those scholarships, but I saw that you want to be an attorney. And I read your application. And she says, you know what? You ever thought about being a pastor? And I was raised, no, ma'am. No, sir. I said, well, thank you, ma'am. But I've heard that before, but I'm going to be an attorney. And so, yes, she said, I'm telling you because you write with a deep love for people. And when you love people, they can't be wasted. She's like, it does not be wasted as an attorney. She said, well, you go to what you need to do, and God will call you back to the church how he needs to call you back. I said, okay, got it. So I just received that from a complete stranger, working almost full-time, going to college. And I said, well, okay, this is an opportunity. Someone spoke into my life, and she somehow knew I told the student government no, that I couldn't join their body, the associate students of College of Alameda. And she said, why did you tell them no? I said, you need to join that because you need to be active on campus. And you need to activate this community. You need to engage them. So since I share that anecdote primarily because how do I get here? What's my why, right? And for me, a lot of that is my family talked about legacy and integrity. What does that mean? Legacy is something you build not just to pass on, but to transform people and the communities you live in. And when you're done on this earth, you better leave it a better place than when you got to it, right? And so I bring that because some people wonder, oh, how do I vote on a candidate? Well, sometimes finding out what their why is something we forget. We think about who's endorsed them. How are they doing? What office they currently occupy? And those are important things, but what do they stand for and why are they doing it? Is what I learned from my experience in community college. And then thinking, if you don't have a seat at the table, you better get a chair and get to that table, right? And so what I did is ran for student government. And then there are some issues you want to attack, like access to transportation, like the AC Transit Easy Pass, which we wanted to lower the threshold for students to get on. Food insecurity, and housing. Some of my friends were living out of their cars and they go shower at my house because my family said, well, come on over, right? How do we attack those pieces? And they said, well, we can't make the kind of change we need you here. We need someone on the board of trustees. So I ran for the board of trustees with a group of students, and we made that change. And then later on, the chancellor told me, well, Adrian, you're doing the job of an upper level administrator. You know that? And I just thought he's being nice. And then I realized, I got fresh from the street, that, oh, I was. And then the former mayor of Oakland, L. Hugh Harris, said to me at my EOPS graduation, young man, I want to help you. And then I thought, someone just being nice. Until I got to the end of my time at UC Berkeley, and I was going to Washington, D.C. And I called him. And he answered, he's this deep voice, a lot deeper than mine. He says, young man, you think I'd just tell everyone that? I said, well, no. He says, well, you should have called me earlier, but I'm glad you called now. And I was going to say yes to a law firm offer in Washington, D.C. And he said, you should really consider those offers you got at those public offices. One of them was for the legendary Congressman Barbara Lee. Another one was for the legendary Senator Feinstein. And I didn't realize the value was not just where I was going, but the experience I'd get, the context you would make, which is relationships. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes a cornerstone of making a difference in people's lives. So how do I get to the Central Committee from all those pieces, right? I got to meet Rowena, and I see her in community in Oakland because I live and work in the city of Oakland. My grandmother has been on 68th and MacArthur for about 25 years, just moved away. Miss her dearly. But how do we impact this community? And some people sleep on what the Democratic Central Committee is. And we'll get to that piece and presentation here. But I want to share more with you about my why. And I saw your values of trust, character, compassion, competence, and consistency. And my goodness, how do you wrap that up, right? How do you show up every day? And so we don't get paid to do these jobs that we will occupy these seats. I'm going to speak it into existence, Rowena. I said, but they really impact the daily lives of people more than they might know it. Mm-hmm. And it's our opportunity. If someone's opened the door for us, we bring more people with us so they can learn too. That's a little bit about me. If you want to know more, let me know. Thank you.
Phenomenal. All right. Well, shall we? Let's hop into.
I got a lot of questions. My ears is burning. I heard some amazing things, but we'll get into the PowerPoint. We'll get into the PowerPoint, and then I'm gonna get.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I want to smoke through it. You might answer some of my questions in the PowerPoint. But we'll get it up. We'll get it up on the screen for you.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So, as Adrian mentioned, and so Adrian, feel free to kind of chime in here. So we're just going to flow through. There's a handful of things on the ballot. Let's just start there, right? So when you get your ballot, ballots are actually going to be mailed out February the 5th. So hopefully you will have them by Saturday the 10th. And when you open that ballot, you're going to see some of the key things, right? You're going to see, a candidate for Congress. You're going to see a candidate for United States Senate. Depending on what Senate district you live in, there may even be a candidate for that seat as well. And then in the Assembly district, you're going to have an Assembly district candidate as well. And then also on the ballot, now key kind of point here, if you are a registered Democrat, then you will be able to weigh in on the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee candidates. And within our district there, as Adrian mentioned, there are 10 open seats. Now, if you're tuning in and you're like, you know what, I don't live in Alameda County, I live in the city and county of San Francisco, don't worry. Central Committee is also on the ballot. If you live in Contra Costa County, Central Committee is also on the ballot. San Jose, it's there. But the key thing is, of course, you have to be registered as a Democrat in order to opt in and vote in this particular election. And so just wanted to, so this presentation is really is geared towards informing a little bit about what is a Democratic Central committee and what they do. Next slide. Okay, phenomenal. So here on this slide is just kind of like an overview of what the mission is. You know, the mission is for the AC DIMS, that's kind of the acronym. The goal of the AC DIMS is to empower and educate the party's mission, initiatives, and impact Alameda County. The hope is to inspire civic engagement and leave the community with a clear perspective of participating in the democratic process. And how do we do that? Next slide. Right. That has everything to do with coordinating activities, making endorsements, organizing events, and supporting candidates. Now, I really just kind of rolled through those bullet points, but perhaps Adrian, I think we should expand on this, because this is really the work of whoever, you get to pick 10 candidates to serve in the central committee role if you live in Alameda County. And why don't we go through what some of those, what does it mean to coordinate party activities throughout Alameda County? This is actually, something that I'm really excited, along with organizing events as well. But I can, I'll go to you, Adrian, to see what you would like to uplift first.
Yeah. So some of the activities, historically, the Democratic Central Committee can actually have some leeway in their ability to coordinate these events, right? And these events could look like voter engagement. They could look like candidate training opportunities. They can look like outreach events. We talk about community engagement, and they have really creative control around them. One of them that they currently do is it acts more as a community engagement, but also a fundraiser. It's called the Unity Dinner, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And a lot of folks will go there support it to raise money to do what? To support those candidates. What does support mean? That means resources, right? That might look like, hey, how do we mobilize volunteers to make sure the people that we endorse as the AC Dems achieve their office, right? It also looks like, hey, how do we support them with financial contribution or the ability to send out things like mailers or text messages that get the word out for these candidates so they can actually win their offices and make it known for what they stand for. And then endorsements, right? Rowena, you want to talk about endorsements?
Sure. And then just actually to piggyback off of what you said around I'm just, I want to make sure I'm able to make this clear distinction of how randomly you'll get a text message that says, hey, support so-and-so running for, such and such position. And you're like, wow, how did they get my number? How are they texting me? Right. So many of the resources to send those texts or make a phone call, maybe you answer your phone and it's a recorded message, or you get a mailer in the mail. So much of those resources come from funding through this kind of apparatus, through your county Democratic Party. And so one of the things that I'm really passionate about, I feel like I'm going to drop a lot of gems here, right? I always like to take it back to 2022, City of Oakland mayoral race. And I bring this up to say that there was article after article around community not understanding ranked choice voting and how it works, and kind of being surprised by the outcome. Oh, I just voted for one candidate, and it's like, no, ranked choice voting, you vote for your top three. And so I bring that up to say that when we're talking about the Central Committee has the ability to organize events, the types of events that they actually can organize are voter education events. Actually engage the community on hey, how do I fill out this ballot? And I'm dropping that kind of in there because that's currently not being done. And so that is something that I'm very passionate about driving once I'm elected. And then the other main component, and I feel like this is what most people, if you happen to know about the Central Committee, you probably know because of the endorsement process, right? Local candidates are oftentimes striving for that kind of seal of approval from the Alameda County Democratic Party, getting that endorsement. And so there's always a lot of excitement around the endorsement piece. And so the 10 people you select are going to be informing the future of your local Democratic Party. So that's kind of another piece. And then I'll just kind of offer up one little other antidote around like, what does it mean to support a candidate? It also entails, organizing the community to show up. So say, I'm the candidate. I've been selected for the endorsement. One of the other things that the Central Committee can support with is actually gathering up volunteers to then hit the streets, hit the community, and put those oh my goodness, why am I having a mind blank?
Door
The door
hangers.
hangers, yeah. Put the door, you say you wake up one day and you're like, wow, when did they leave this door hanger on my door, right? That's a volunteer, that's a local volunteer. And so they also help to support. That's another way that they support candidates. They help with phone banking, text banking, just everything that helps move a candidate along. But we want to make sure it's the right candidate, right? So that's what's really key. Adrian, do you want to add anything else additional on this slide?
Yeah, I think part of this too is also understanding that, there's such a thing as choice theory, right? When you get a ballot or a test in front of you, the choices in front of you have actually been manipulated in some sense, right? Or influenced or selected or whatever word you might say, influence, right? And so this body can do that, right? You may have 4 candidates, A, B, C, and D in front of you, but really there might have been A through F, and they were actually pared down. And now we're getting the message out for A through D, right? Because they have this endorsement. And then it's the reputation, just like we understand brands, the things we trust, like the colloquial things we call Kleenex, and that's really a tissue or a Band-Aid. You look for these trusted brands like AC Dams or the Firefighters or the Sierra Club to say, they've been vetted by this body. That means they must have passed some kind of litmus test, and I'm willing to vote for them.
Mm-hmm. So good. Thank you, Adrian. All right, next slide. Right. And so this just kind of dives a little bit deeper into governs local activities and campaigns, right? That's what we kind of mentioned around supporting candidates. And so works under the California Democratic Party's general direction. And so this is just when I first kind of arrived to this space, all of this was very mind blowing, even for myself, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adrian, even in the college setting, right, we're learning a lot of things like very textbook.
You're right.
But you don't learn a single thing about the California Democratic Party and how it works. So both at the county and at the state level, right? And then it expands out, right, nationwide. So very huge there. And then also within this body, there are also additional committees that you can serve on. So for example, there's the community engagement committee, public safety, I believe. Adrian, do you want to uplift one in that space?
Where were you? Sorry, my
on the committees. And I think, and then the rule of thumb is each elected member of the Central Committee has to serve on at least one of these committees.
Oh yes, and there's also like the it's not called rules committee, but there's also an agendas committee where you can set the actual agenda. And there used to be in the previous bylaws a judicial one, which is a kind of interesting body.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. All right, next slide. All right. So I thought it would be really important to break this down because sometimes, just for overall context. So what is a state assembly district, right? Because right now, myself and Adrian, as Adrian mentioned at the onset, I've worked to organize a team of us that are all running in the 18th Assembly District. So the 18th Assembly District includes most of Oakland, Alameda, as well as Emeryville. And so within any territory, there's an assembly district. Like we could say Assembly District 20. So that now includes San Leandro, Castro Valley, I think even Dublin. And then blanking on the number for San Francisco, but Assemblymember Phil Ting, for example, right? I know he represents most of the community there in San Francisco. So really kind of tapping into, okay, what's a state assembly district? I think one thing that we really pride ourselves on is that the group of 8 folks that we've organized, we were very intentional about getting representation from all 3 of the cities. Some of the some of the groups, right? So whoever feels inclined to dig in more into this, right? So I'll share that in Assembly District 18, there are actually 28 candidates for Central Committee. And we just so happen to be running with 8 of them, right? So there's 20 other candidates. We definitely have our work cut out for us. But the same is true in other assembly districts as well. And then I think I mentioned on like at the beginning, folks will be able to vote for Congress. Of course, I'm going to name drop the amazing Latifah Simon. And then we also have state senate. And so that's based on kind of jurisdiction. And then I didn't put it on here, but U.S. state senate. And that's what our beloved Congresswoman Barbara Lee is running for. We really need all hands on deck to ensure that she wins. Anything else you want to uplift on this note, Adrian?
You've got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next slide. Oh yeah, this is good. So, and I guess this is the nerd in me where I'm like, oh, this is good. Okay. So members of this body. As I mentioned, I'm going to keep us focused, right? There's 10 seats available. You're going to vote on this on March the 5th. And we will get to serve in this role for the next 4 years. Do you know how many candidates how many elections will be forthcoming, right? And I'm talking like at the local level. So currently, for November 2024 in the city of Oakland, you have 5 open seats coming up for the Oakland City Council. You have races going on for your county supervisors. And then each year there's more on the ballot, right? Some of these seats actually, they have some of these elected officials actually have to run every 2 years, right? So it's very interesting to note that, when we go up to folks and we're like, oh, hey, please vote for us for Central Committee. And people are like, well, what's Central Committee? Right. So that is why that is why I felt really charged to, we got to increase voter education around these positions that are on the ballot. And then this note here just basically says that, they meet monthly. Is that right?
Yeah, they meet monthly, and then they'll have committee meetings that are kind of in between.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, perfect. All right, next slide. Starts at 7 p.m. first Wednesday of every month. And if you felt inclined to check the meeting minutes for previous meetings, you would find that they go very long. Let's put it like that, with a tad bit of drama. Okay, next slide. All right. Yep, we got that. Key responsibilities. Next slide. Influence. Yep. I'm basically ahead of the game, right? We talked through this, right? What do they get to influence? Local, state, national, enhancing the democratic presence in Alameda County. Absolutely. Anything you want to share, Adrian?
Not on this one, but there is a note I'll make when we get to it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, next slide. And there we go. And so if we go to the next slide, I will just share with the community, so I'm running for Central Committee. If you're interested in staying connected with me, you can, scan the QR code if that's available for you. And then momentarily, I'll drop some information in the chat for my website and whatnot. And the next slide for Adrian too, yeah? There we go. You gonna share?
Absolutely. So there's some piece talking about the Central Committee, people think it's only like it's not unique to Alameda County, right? There are 58 counties in the state of California, which means there are 58 central committees, right? And some of them are organized by different structures, not all by assembly districts. It's just fascinating. And not all of them are as competitive as the one we see in Alameda County. In fact, friends in San Joaquin County, there were 3 seats and there were 3 applicants. So guess what? They all got their seats, right? It just happens that this area is so much participation, which is great, but one piece, Rowena talked about being passionate about voter engagement, and I share that, right? When I learned that, everyone knows there's a sense of voter apathy, meaning that the sense of lukewarmness, right? How does my vote actually impact people who make decisions about things that impact my life, right? And the March 5th primary numbers show that 60% of the people voting up or going to show up to vote are going to be 55 years and older, which is, I'm glad people are voting, but look at that delta. Look at the community who's not voting, right? We know this as candidates, and also the work that Rowena and I do in our daily lives kind of gives us that knowledge about how to impact and engage people, right? But the tools aren't very obvious to individuals, right? So youth are missing from that demographic, a lot of them, right? They're not showing up. Why is that, right? How do we understand the crux of what's discouraging them? Where's the lack of hope? Where's the pain point? Why did that happen? Is it education? Is it in the house? Is it an opportunity to engage with organizations like both sides of the conversation to understand that you can imbue hope? And part of it looks like doing the hard work that democracy takes, doing the hard work of researching these people and knowing why it matters. That's why I like to start with what's my why? What's your why, right? Because I really don't care. People don't really care what you have to say unless they first know that you care about them, who's in front of you and why you want to reach them, right? Because your time is so valuable, right? Whether you have a lot or a little of it, it's the most valuable commodity we have. And so for me, it's like, how do we do this here in Alameda County? How do we engage youth to be a participant here? And one of our elders, who's no longer going to be on the Central Committee, actually voiced that into fruition. I've always loved working with youth because a lot of people who are older than me poured into my life too. And they just have an ability to really make some change, but don't always know that they have the tools to do it too. And so if there are 58 counties and this is the one we could get people active in by really bolstering and re-engaging and cultivating our voter engagement piece, then I'm so ready to do it, because we need it. If we want to see that change we talked about earlier, John and Mark, we have to be able to provide the platform, the ability, and the support, like not just planting something and walk away from it, but being there to nurture it and to keep stoking that fire so it doesn't go away. And then people can multiply it, right? So that's what I want to add.
And then I just also want to uplift, I dropped in the chat, we've organized, there's 8 of us that have organized, and, we are calling our official slate name is Unified Voices for Democracy. And the folks that we're running alongside are just phenomenal. We have 3 teachers on our slate, folks that are housing advocates, activists, community warriors. And so anyone who's interested in learning more, of course, about myself, Adrian, you have our contact information, but also unifieddems.org, and you can tap in with all of us. So that's what we have. Ready for questions? I'm not sure if I saw a question.
Are you ready for questions? Because we ready to blow up the spot over here. We got to get ready. We got to get into this. See, I'm going to say this. I love what y'all bring to the community. The PowerPoint presentation is very informative. And that's what we want to do with this Educational Thursday, is be intentional, right? We want to be proactive. We want to make sure community gets the heads up. But I got an answer for you, because you said, how do we get the young people involved? And I'm going to tell you the problem is we have elders who don't want to pass the torch. So the young people don't feel empowered. See, I'm with these young people all day, and they say, why do I want to go down there and get engaged? Every time it's time to talk, the elders hold the mic, the elected officials is making all. Where's the young people at? I'm just telling you, because see, I'm going to be honest. I'm tired of it too. I just went to the Martin Luther King March. I said, all these elders up there talking. Where's the young people at? All of the brilliance, all of the energetic young people that we have across this Bay Area and beyond, none of the kids could talk about Martin Luther King. None of the kids could come up. So I think as the elders of the community, we have to do a better job to engage the youth. And engaging the youth, I always say you have to connect before you correct. I think a lot of the elders in their old ways, they just want to tell young people, hey, y'all can't do this. Y'all got to wait. I think we got to connect with the youth. I think that's the first thing. If we want to make change, we want to get young people involved from the college level, out of high school, it's one, we got to empower them. And empower them is letting them lead. And some of the elders have to step back. And I'm saying this because I think this is a problem that we're going to see this election season that it comes up. I'm looking at what's going on. See, this is both sides of the conversation now. I'm looking across the country, what's going on with the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. A lot of people across this country are not so happy what's going on. Mm-hmm. They feel like the young folks, and shout out to Maxine Waters. And I've met a lot of those folks at the 52nd Congressional Black Caucus. I was out there. Okay. But where is the young leaders? Now I see young people all around, but the same guards are holding the mic, holding the baton. How do we move this Democratic Party forward? Because I'm just telling you, it's some young fighters out there. Because some of these processes, because of some of these committees, the way they are set up, young, innovative energy. I'm not saying progressive, but the young people who are fired up for change. How do we get these stakeholders? How do we get the Nancy Pelosi's? How do we get the people that's been there for 30 to 40 years to pass the torch to the young people? Because I think that's what needs to happen. It's getting stale. And we in these times where we need solidarity, we need innovation, we need a new thought process to get ahead of what's going on. I mean, we just had CEOs from the tech companies at Capitol Hill the other day. Mm. They're just now trying to figure out data and what's happening to our young people because the elders are not advanced. We got all the young people. They know how to use TikTok. All this. These elders don't even know how to use nothing against them. It's not to disrespect them. But what I'm saying is, why are we not bringing the young folks who know this data, who understand what's going on, so that we can put some of the legislative processes in place to really make change? Because by the time our Congress is getting a hold of things, it's too late. These CEOs that made billions of dollars, millions and millions of families have been destroyed by what's going on because we can't get bills passed and information to the next generation to lead us forward. How do we change that?
I mean, yeah, it's a great question. I feel empowered to kind of share my thought process, right? So first thing that comes to my mind is, as a young leader, how do I tap others to show up and step up, right? I think that is always key. So in the same way, you know, I love how Adrian so gracefully put it, but I definitely was calling all everyone like, hey, I'm doing this. I want you to join me, right? So it's like actual activation. I also will uplift just a valuable point around. So on February the 10th, I'm hosting an event. It's youth centered. It's a Black History Month, get out the vote. And it's similar to kind of what I'm doing here, right? It's about voter education and getting our young people activated. And then I've invited 3 people who will be on the ballot in Alameda County to show up to the conversation and engage the young people on the process. So the young people will be asking the questions. I reached out to 4 or 5 kind of youth nonprofit organizations that work with young people. And so I'm excited for the turnout there. And I'm hopeful, right? At the end of the day, the same way I kind of reflected on my first experience with civic engagement, right? You kind of, it has to be offered to you, right? And you have to accept the offer. And you know, I don't want to say like the right ones will, but the right ones will, right? And sometimes it's a matter of, you know, waiting to be asked, a curiosity, right? Oh, let me just show up and see what this is about. Right? That's how we get some of our best interns in our office, right? You know, they a curiosity. Oh, I'm interested in. Like, we even kind of brand things where it's like, oh, like, are you good at social media? Right? Just some of the things that we know that the young people enjoy. And so, but ultimately it's going to take all of us, right? It's going to take all of us showing up to get them activated, putting on events that lead the young people in this direction and really empowering them. And there's actually so many, it's really interesting. I spent the last 3 years being a part of of course, as a worker, a part of the California Legislative Black Caucus. And they actually put on an amazing legislative youth event where, any young person, either in the 10th, 11th or 12th grade can apply, and they fly you out to CSU Dominguez Hills for basically like a legislative summit, learn all about the legislative process. And so in the last 2 years, can you guess how many young people from Oakland and the Bay Area showed up?
10.
Oh, my heart was broken. My heart was broken because, of course, we like to have fun also while we're learning. And so at some point they were like, all right, we're going to do a SoCal versus Northern California basketball game. And so, I was ready. And I was like, who's on my team? 3 young people from the Bay. That's it. And so, so I've just been trying to lead this charge to really get our young people activated. But I think just like how Adrian mentioned, how are we sharing this information, right? So the same way how you all kicked off your, the podcast, sharing out, hey, this is what's happening in the community. We need more of that, right? Because I think that there's a lot of amazing organizations doing a lot of great work, but then, maybe no one knows. So I think that's also a part of it too.
Yeah, I'll add that sometimes understanding where the youth are. Where do they like to spend their time, right? Is that a youth group or whatever it might be, right? And bringing the message to them. I learned that at community college. We did this survey, and some administrators like, how did you get that such a large response of them? I said, well, where do you think I went to the classroom? How did I get into classroom? I talked to the professor. The professor gave me time. And so if I want students to participate, I go where they are. I find out what they care about. I listen to them so that maybe one day they might listen to me. And then reimagining like what we think success is. Oh, I got 50 students. No, if 2 students show up with me and go to a city council meeting and understand what that is and can sit through hours of it, that's a huge win because it becomes as a catalyst, right? Like, what is a win for us? Is it droves of folks or not, right? And so understand what they care about. Is the mode a place they gather, or is it on a social platform where they like to spend a lot of their time? Mm-hmm. How are we accessing the same tools we do to get the vote out, the same tools we can use to engage individuals? And even though folks like to hide behind this thing right here, they forget that sometimes, like when you start talking to people more, you kind of get some life-giving conversation going if you know how to cultivate it there. So that's one piece. And I think the second one is also understanding that when you get young leaders into place, I think that our different generations, intergenerational, like support and mentorship is necessary. Of recent, there's been some younger council members who have resigned from their seats in the East Bay. It's not unique to the East Bay. And there's some letters that have gone out and have broke my heart. Young folks in offices that we're talking about, taking those offices, stepping up and step back. Some elders left and now they're in the seat, right? And they're gone now. Why? I can't help but ask myself, why? Who raised them up to run for office? And then where did they go? Where was the support? Did you check in on them? Because I don't know what other kind of workplace allows people to scream and rant at you and threaten you and not have any consequence for it. These are what these council members do. And we think that they're these high and mighty positions, but they're thankless jobs, 100% necessary, but oftentimes thankless, right? You get beat up oftentimes. So how do you build up the life in you again? So like supporting them. Someone asked me to join a board recently and they're an elder of mine. I said, so if I get on there, are you going to still be there? So, oh no, it's time for you. I said, no, you can't go anywhere. I said, because I still need your institutional knowledge. I need you to be here with me. It's not just about shoving us young folks and going to run it. We need you here still. Don't go anywhere. Right.
So I like that, Adrian, but I got to say something because you guys are in Oakland, Alameda County. The educational system is part of the problem. We can't engage young people because we have systemic racism in our curriculum. We have a state here in California that's not invested in Black and brown youth. In Oakland right now, I think they're committing to close, 13, 14 schools that's in predominantly Black neighborhoods. So the problem is when we don't invest in young people and make the proper investment. I heard one of you tonight say, you know, when I came up, I was able to go to some class and learn stuff. You go to these schools, there's no wood shop, there's no things that kids trade skills, there's no arts and dance. I know when I was in middle school, we had band classes, there's no band classes. So we have a state that is invested in prisons. That's what they invest in. They got schools all across the state closing, but we're opening up prisons every month out the year. They open up a new system. So I think part of it is that we got an educational issue in California that we got to address. Okay, the governor just sent out $28 billion in cuts. Who you think those school cuts is coming from that he put on the ballot? Black folks. So we can't get our young people engaged in anything because the schools are the first thing that they're cut in the Black community. So that's a barrier that's already set up, right? I go to school. Most of my schools is maybe 5 to 10, 15 miles away from my house. I can't even get there. That's a disparity. I come from a community of violence. I can't even get excited about school because I got to deal with all of the trauma and what I'm dealing with. There's no commitment to mental health. I keep telling these folks, okay, here in California, we're going to have to make the same investment that we did to COVID to mental health if we want to change the dynamics with young people. Because young people are dealing with so much trauma. Okay, 3 years, young people went to school on Zoom. Nobody else have ever done it. I got these elders that, oh, these young kids, I said, have you ever went to Zoom school? So we lost those kids, right? But then what I talked about being stale is all of these processes. How do we make them innovative? You know, young people like music. Young people are into gaming. How do we find a way to divine the technology and the advancement of AI, robotics, and automation into a way where it empowers young people to get involved? Because that's what they're into. They'll sit and play video games all day. They'll sit and listen to this destructive music. But how do we make what you all are doing here, educating them about the process in a way that's comfortable for them? That's engaging in them. Because I've seen a couple of political rap songs out there where they was talking about the process. I was like, that is cool. Young people were engaged. Like, okay, but if we don't have it in our schools, the teachers are not. I mean, these teachers, I'm just telling you, I don't know. I don't know in Oakland. Okay, I'm not over there. I know Miss Tramiel over there, the superintendent. I've been to a couple of those schools over to Parker and a few of those schools. Okay, we got some problems, but I know these schools in San Francisco, these teachers aren't engaged. Education is boring to young people. When I talk to the high school kids, they say, John, I don't even know why I'm here. This stuff that I'm learning is not even applying to what I got to deal with day to day. So there's an innovative change in education that has to happen to engage young people, to get them excited, to stay in the classroom. We have to bring back that support, to bring back trade schools, welding. We have to bring back bakery. I mean, when we was coming up, those are the things that people were able to get into those pathways. Well, now we got all the tech companies in the Bay Area leaving. AI is taking over. I mean, you go into Walmart, you go to the grocery store, you go to the banks, everything's automated. Young people right now are afraid more than ever. Okay, I just went to a graduation in January, college kids. They are afraid. They don't know what career they're going to go to. They don't understand if the career is going to be. We got a society of young people right now afraid of how we're going to make it. Where's the jobs? All of the jobs are going. Nobody's talking about AI. Nobody's talking about robotics. How is this going to change? I'm not saying be scared of it, but how are we being innovative to even engage the young people? Where's the advancement of technology going?
Yeah, I think this is one of those. Both myself and Adrian, we were at the 2024 Mayor's Forecast. They hosted it in San Francisco this morning. And the conversation was kind of, in some ways, of course, it was focused on business and business growth in our cities, both San Francisco and Oakland, and housing and the housing crisis, et cetera, right? But I think the main thing that it's like, hey, how are we going to meet this moment? And ensuring that those who are desiring to step up in leadership have their priorities in order, right? So, and in order to know that, so everything that you said as far as like, what's the situation of our public schools, what's being taught, how our young people are feeling, right? We also want to make sure that the candidates that we are voting for have that understanding And then once they are elected, how do we hold their feet to the fire, right? Like, how do we ensure that, because most candidates aren't necessarily going to make promises, but you want to make sure that you, I think it's a community effort to say, hey, you know what? So now that you're elected, let me have your ear, because here's what the community needs, right? And I think it's really the job of those who, get the opportunity. I honestly think of it, and it's kind of what Adrian said, like, it is a thankless job, but ultimately those who do get the opportunity, will they follow up in action, right? And so what does action look like? So we talk about, the curriculum, and I won't bore you, but I have indeed read the state's educational curriculum, because what I was seeking to do last year was advanced civic education in schools, because currently there is an inequity, especially in our Black and Brown schools, around actually teaching civic engagement. And we know that in order for folks to show up and vote, they need to understand the importance of that. When is that informed? At a young age, right? And so if that is not being taught in our schools, we already know the direction, right? And so last year I worked on AB 1520, which was a bill to help try to advance civics education in our schools. Didn't pass because it was too expensive, right? But there's still work that's being done, and we need to align ourselves. Like I said, like, I think it's our responsibility to hold these legislators accountable to what they say, right? And then also, and just so that we have some context, keep in mind that in 2023, we started off the year with the same conversation around the state budget. Do y'all recall? It was the same conversation that we were in a deficit, right? And by the time, now I'm not saying that this is going to be the case by any means, right? But by the time June came along, we were in a much better positionality. Right. So let's keep hope alive. I do tend to be very optimistic, right?
Maybe I'm a little pessimistic. I know Mark got something, but I also want to just say this. We got to talk about what accountabilities look like, because I'm going to tell you what's happening here in California. These folks are getting into office. Once they got their 4 years, they done. You don't see them until it's time to run again. What are we going to do about that? Because this is what I'm watching all of these folks. And again, you're right. Is that assembly bill didn't pass? You know why? Because they don't want Black and brown folks to be educated on their civic duties. So we're going to play the budget game. We always going to start off with the money, and then we can't do it. That's just what it is. So the real thing is, when you talked about community activation, and I'm glad you all are here tonight, because this is how it starts, right? How do we get the nonprofit organizations? How do we get the cool nonprofits that's working with young people to have folks like you to come in here and educate them why, and then understand the benefit of why? See, we tell young people you need to do this, but nobody's telling them why you need to do it, right? They just like, oh, you got to do this. Like, we got to really start naming what we're doing. And I think that's one of the struggles that I see. It's just like mental health and healing, right? Everybody's like, I'm healing. I'm doing the work. Well, what does the work look like? I got somebody over here dealing with trauma. They like, John, everybody talking about they getting healing and therapy. What does that look like? So I think we really got to start naming, and we naming and explaining what things look like. Because I think a lot of times folks are just saying stuff, but we don't understand. I'm healing. Well, what does that look like? Oh, I'm doing my work. I'm doing my self work. What does that look like? Or we engaging in it, but what does this look like to kids? Like, we have to break it down to a level where they actually get it. Like, hey, if this passed and you're going to school, like y'all both went to community college, which is important, right? Hey, you guys can go to college for free at the junior level. You get what I'm saying? Now that's a little bit more. Oh, so if we do this, we can go to school. You see what I'm saying? We have to break it down in that way for our young people to be engaged, or to even get excited, because for them it's like, what do I get? This senator, this mayor, this governor, they just go in office, pass. They fail deploy. Like, I don't have a voice. So I don't know, but go ahead, brother Mark. I know Mark got some burning questions up there. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm on fire. So y'all got me worked. Yeah, work me up. All right.
I actually, Bishop, you touched on the question that I had as I'm sitting here listening to him. And first of all, I want to thank both Rowena and Adrian for coming on and educating the community. Personally, this has just been one of my gripes when it comes to politics in general. we have a very cursory understanding. We have people that will get into fist fights over national politics and personalities, but they have absolutely no clue how impactful and important their local elections are. And so they're not even aware of what the seats do, what offices are available, who the candidates are running, and how you are actually going to have more tangible impact on the voters' lives than anything they talk about nationally. So thank you for bringing that awareness to the community even more.
Mhm.
As far as the accountability part, because again, I'm old school. I don't trust a politician as far as I can throw one. It's hard because, like Bishop said, success for most politicians is measured by them being reelected,
Mm.
because most people don't know what you do. Like, so for the sake of the community, let's put ourselves forward 3.5 years from now.
Yeah.
Presuming you got elected, you had the office. What would a successful representation on your part look like that the community could understand?
I'm so glad that you raised this. And if I may, I want to answer this question in the context of actually my current role, right? So I mentioned how, right now I am serving as district director to a state legislator, right? And prior to that, I was working in local government. And something that I was able to see is that, in fact, maybe not all, but in fact, um, most of the elected officials are working around the clock. Now, the breakdown is in the communications out. And so that is actually something that in both roles that I have had in leadership, working for an elected, that I pride myself on, because we can work day and night, but if the community does not know that you just passed AB 1920 or 1912, which actually will, I don't know the whole thing around the OUSD school closures, they're supposed to run an equity analysis. So anyway, that's another story. I'll go there later. But ultimately, it really boils down to the communications, right? How are we communicating with the constituents so that, in fact, when your name reappears on the ballot, it should be, well, of course, right? So there's that. And that's the type of, so I've been working on behalf of someone, and we've been doing just that. Because if you survey the community in the 18th district, I guarantee you they have a lot of good things to say about Assemblymember Mia Bonta. Okay, so I'm going to make that plug. And now I'm going to move into answering the question really quickly, right? So ultimately, 3 years from now, and if I decide to run again for the seat, I do have larger goals and aspiration. More to come soon. We'll just put that there. But ultimately, 3 years from now, it would be my hope that the community will have been engaged in like voter education outreach. We have more young people who have registered to vote, right? When you look at the population in Alameda County, and then you look at how many people are in fact registered to vote, and if we've seen that increase over the last 3 years, I think that would be a win, right? When people get their ballot, you have more people participating in the primary election, right? Some people don't even know that there's a primary and there's a general, right? You have, so the goals are they're actually very tangible, right? As far as based on the numbers, right? How many people are actually voting in this process? And it's exactly what you mentioned, where a lot of people think, oh, okay, yeah, I voted for president, but nothing changes, right? That's also a voter education piece, right? Actually, your school board, your city council, your county supervisors, and I'm here to tell you that, well, maybe not in the city and county of San Francisco, but if you're in Alameda County or Contra Costa County, the county actually literally gets like so much money. That's where the money goes, from the state to the county. So what are they doing with the money? So anyway, that's also another subject of conversation as well. So Hopefully that answers your question. I know, John, I know you wanted to ask me something.
No, Alameda get a lot of money. That's why I'm surprised at some of the stuff that's going on over there. Okay, San Francisco, we are our own city and county, so we get everything up front. But in Alameda County, I mean, so I've been through these legislative processes. I know don't sound like the lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, okay? But I've been in these processes. I've helped create some of these bills. I was part of the Senate Bill 1053 for the child support thing. I helped out some people. But I'm going to just tell you, some of these processes, it's kind of skewed for me. It's like, okay, we get to this think tank. We go in there. We figure out these things. They got the legislative lawyers going there. The senator is not even involved with it until they get the top things. And then the process is kind of like skewed. And we got to change this. I don't know. I've been through a couple of these processes. I've helped make some stuff, but that's not my ball game, because I'm going to tell you why. It's a lot of people that's in those positions. They don't look like us. They don't represent the community. Mm-hmm. So when you really start looking at the interest, it's not really reflecting the community as a whole. Now, there might be chunks. I mean, even with the child support thing that's going on right now, I've been a part of a lot of that. I'm looking through the bill and I'm looking at what's going on. It's just like, it's this number game, but it's not really impacting the community like it needs to. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, it's some change that need to happen. And like I said earlier, a lot of these folks are not even reading through these bills. They're signing off on stuff it's not okay, right? And then we're trying to unfix what's fixed. So I'm like, how do we create a process where a bill gets signed, it gets reviewed, so it has to be a third step, because I see some bills going across. I'm like, what is this? Yeah. But hopefully you all are going to make the change and bring some excitement. I mean, I'm happy that you all are doing your civic duty and trying to make impact and change, because that's what's needed. Mm-hmm. And I think something that Alicia Garza said today about the power of politics, and one thing that she talked about today was really about participation, right? You don't have to agree with your elected official, the relationships, right? And she talked a little bit about accountability with our elected official, and you all from community, right? And you grow up from the grassroots of community. And what I'm seeing is, I was glad she brought it up today, because it's a challenge when you have people from the community, mm-hmm. That run for office, and it's like, hey, I know you, and we're not holding them accountable because we grew up down the street, or I went to school with you. So when you was talking about accountability, I was like, what does that look like? Mm-hmm. Because we get these people in office, and it's so hard to hold them accountable, right? We have right now in Washington, I mean, we can't get a bill passed from either side. And it's like, what do we do as a country, as a community? It's like, we cannot have a federal lockdown. We can't have a budget. Like, we can't have what we just talked about in the open, 10 senators doing a lockout, holding up a bill, impacting the American people. Like, that's not what we put you in office for. But we can't get no bipartisan work. We can't get either side to cross the aisle. I mean, but I'm going to tell you, the accountability in California works. And this is why I said we need to implement these things that we have in California across the country. Okay, because I'm going to tell you, I remember every year when the California budget come up, we couldn't get a budget. Once we said we're going to take the senators' pay and they can't go on vacation, it's mighty funny. Every year the budget is on time, every cent.
Like,
so that just goes to show you, like, we have to really, and this goes back to really financial impact. And when we talk about the economics of politics, it has to be a boycott that's going to financially impact these senators, their interests, because if not, we're going to keep running down this hill. We can't get a bill passed. We can't do this. Oh, well, it's something about when you take people money and they can't go on vacation that they seem to come together and figure things out.
Yeah.
We have a crisis right now, okay? And I'm glad this election is coming up in March. I'm glad we got a presidential rate, we got a local rate, okay? Because we got a crisis going on right now. We got a border crisis. We got tensions in the Middle East. We got an economic crisis. We got a job crisis. We have a mental health crisis. I mean, the crisis in America right now, I mean, it is out of the roof. So we need candidates like you that's going to get in here to fight to make change, because we got some problems. And I agree with all the reimagining stuff. But I'm like, I don't, the rainy day is now. I don't have time to reimagine things. I need some folks that want to get in there and get dirty and make some change, because we have some problems in America right now that are impacting our generations ahead. I mean, you look at the housing, you look at the substance abuse, you look at, it's only getting worse.
Yeah.
It's scary. The economic crimes are going to go up over the next 3 to 5 years because the more tech jobs that leave, they impact the whole structure. As the economy continues to shift, and we're not even bringing our people on as we switch over into this digital currency. I mean, look at the elders that are behind on the like. I'm not talking to these elders, and I'm glad Booker T. Washington is doing their legacy thing, teaching people about estate planning. We're losing our legacies in the community. We're not teaching our young people financial literacy. We're not bringing our elders up to speed. I mean, it is scary. Scary stuff is going on. I mean, this country is switching the currency. Every day is shifting. I mean, you can't even get cash really nowhere. I mean, it's like our elders are like, I'm trying to do that. I'm like, it's not even like that. You got to, like, we have to educate our community of this change. And we need leaders like you all that's really to get your sleeves dirty, get in the mud and throw some mud and have some fun. I think that's just where we at right now. But we need our parties, you know, to really get involved, because what's going on across this country, it's scary stuff coming up for this New Year's if we don't come together and get involved.
Yeah, and help and really help activate others. I think there was something that you said around it was the example of like, oh yeah, we're working on this bill, but you know, just knowing that maybe the folks that are working behind the scenes, they may not have it's not even necessarily the same lived experience, but it's just like, hey, they don't look like us. And that's always been, you know, as I have been navigating these spaces, right? I see it too. And, you know, in my mind, I'm kind of always thinking like, all right, well, if a job opening becomes available, right? You know, I'm always on my P's and Q's where I'm just like, hey, you know, feeding it to those in the community, like, hey, come on, step up. Or like, you know, trying to connect with those who are leaders in the, you know, I had the opportunity to attend, it was so phenomenal. The California Black Women's Collective last Saturday hosted about 300 Black women to dialogue around building wealth in Black communities. And there's also someone there that talked a little bit about AI. It was just this dynamic conversation, right? So we have a lot, like in our communities, we have a lot of folks who are really leading the charge in so many of the areas that you mentioned. And it's just really about, you know, so even for myself, as I'm in these roles, you know, our internship program is just so dynamic. Like I pride myself on it because, and I make sure that I'm, you know, engaging young people in high school and college, right? Giving them these opportunities. Hey, let's give this a try, challenging them, because that's really where it's at, right? And how we bring others along with us. And we need to center that in all of our work, right? So in the same way, you know, John, you're the leader that you are in the community, right? Mark, right? I'm sure you all are bringing folks with you, right? Hey, come on, join us here. We're doing X, Y, and Z, and that's just really, you know, like
no, they scared of me. They scared of me. You know why? Because I'm a rebel. I'm a dismantler. I'm gonna tell you what I do. I'm gonna ask you and Adrian this because I'm putting together. I want my elected officials to come out and sleep with the homeless. I had a meeting and I said, listen, y'all. Because these people who are in these department heads and these city departments, they don't have a clue of what's going on. And I'm gonna just tell you, because this is what I do. I fight behind the scenes for those type of changes. So I ask all these people, I say, hey, I want to put together, we're gonna go sleep on the streets of San Francisco with the homeless for a week. I want all of these people who handle homelessness. I want us to go navigate your system, because I get in these meetings. I'm just telling you, I'm in a lot of city meetings, a lot of elected officials, and I'm gonna tell you, our system is so great. You can navigate. I said, I want you to come sleep on the street with me for a week. I want you to see how easy it is to navigate your system. Okay, we got people out here that don't have power, don't have electricity, don't have cell phone. How do they get into the system? You go down to City Hall, they kick them out the building. The sheriffs don't even let them in the building. I said, where do you guys come up with this stuff? So my biggest thing, because I like how Adrian said, you know, housing and all of this, you know, food. I want these people that run these departments that take so long to move money, to get it out to nonprofits. I said, you guys need to come out here. That should be like a part of it. That any change that I want, I said, I want to make it where you can't run a large department like the Department of Public Health or any one of those things, you got to go out there for at least a couple of weeks and try to survive so you can understand the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because these people come in and they speak, and I said, where you been? What are you talking about? It's not that easy. You can see people go in the streets in like 3 weeks, it's over. Like it just, you get sucked into a whirlwind and you can't even move. So I'm looking for my elected officials. I want y'all to come out there. All of the people that's in the homeless and housing, come out and see how easy it is to navigate, to get these vouchers, to get this stuff. Because I'm telling you, I go to these meetings, everybody's selling, they got great. Oh, we got these vouchers. And if you homeless, you can come here. And it's like, you can't even get people to call you back. So I think we have to change that with our elected officials running for office and say, you guys got to come deal with what you say you running on. Go experience that. Because if you go out there in these encampments and you see how people are living, and I want to see how you navigate this. You out there the first night on the streets, no tent, no blanket. Who do you go to? These centers are turning people away. I mean, it's nonsense. So that's my thing. So I want y'all, man, invite y'all this year. I'm flying out. I need my elected officials to come sleep on the streets with me for a week with the people. Let's hang out 3 o'clock in the morning and see how we gonna navigate, get some housing in these cities. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's definitely true. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, folks in those positions should, we would hope that they would be in those positions in order to, because they're showing up to serve. But ultimately, I mean, that's one way to do it. Like, hey, come out and be on the streets with us. But I also sometimes I just think is as simple as like, hey, housing director, tell me about how you all are serving the community, right? Actually having that conversation, right? Because sometimes I know that seems simple, but sometimes that actually isn't even happening, right? Where it's like, hey, what do these folks do? Tell me about that process. Okay, well, why do you do it that way? Right. So sometimes it can just it can really start there. But I hear you. I mean, we need transformational change, right? In all areas, right? And so
I agree with you. I agree with you. We need treatment, but again, what does that look like? We got policies that just don't make sense. We got. I just wrote a little letter out to the community about. You look at some of the city policies, right? We talk about travel, lodging, gas. Like our policies not even up to current. I said, you in San Francisco, and it says you only can use $79 for hotel fee. I said, where can you get a hotel in San Francisco for $79? See, that's what I'm saying. These people who write these policies, see, can we talk about the elected officials creating policy? Who's going back to the policy that we have and say, hey, this is not working?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense. We're setting our communities up for failure. And these people running office, and I'm like, let's tackle this issue because this is an issue. We can't advance our community with policies that's 30, 40, 50 years ago. An elected official can't get more than a $25 gift in San Francisco. An employee, a city employee can't take a gift more than $25. I said, what could you buy in San Francisco for $25? It doesn't even make sense.
Not even a meal.
Not saying that people should be getting people stuff. I mean, I get all of the conflict and interest, but I'm just saying, when the policies don't even make sense, and people are running for office that's going to create more policies that, like, how do we get in there first and say, before we create, let's review what we have and let's change that first and advance that. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm fighting. Every time I'm in these meetings, I'm going off. We pay consultants all across this country millions of dollars, $800-900 an hour. Wow. But the black mentor, the male mentor, the female mentor, we will pay you $25 to work with these kids. It just doesn't add up. So my thing is, how do we change? We are in a state that our policies are not even, catching up to our cost of living costs, the tax costs. I said, I got all these brothers. John Henry, where all of the brothers at? We need brothers to mentor the kids. I said, how much you want to pay them? $25 an hour. In San Francisco, if you don't make $70 an hour, you poor. But these consultants come in all across the country. Hey, we're gonna come here, we're gonna tell you how to set up a program, we're gonna give you how to do the data, we're gonna teach you all of this stuff. But the guy that gotta go out and deal with the most vulnerable people, we'll pay him $25 an hour. I'm just saying. I don't know. We got work to do. That's what I'm saying. This is
work to do.
We got work to do. We have to become the innovative folks that we are. We have to figure out, okay, as we are running for office, as we are influencing, like, what does that look like, and how do we really bring change to our community? Because that's what we need. We need some folks that go in there and say, hey, all the supervisors, all the councilmen come together. Hold on. We got this policy, this bill. This is not right. This is not even like, what are we doing? So those are the leaders that I want. I hope you all are those leaders that's going to go in there, guns blazing, because we need radical change. Okay, I'm just telling you right now, all of these elected seats, we need radical change. We need some people that can think out of the box and really be like, where we at? Because we're too focused on the historic part and not on the future. Because we got to look where we're going. I keep telling people, let's see, dreaming forward is about looking ahead. We need some policy that's going to move us ahead, and that's what it is.
And it's all, I think it's always a combo, just like how you said, right? You know, it's the same in the city of Oakland. You know, there's some things that, let's just say the street sweeping schedule for the city of Oakland is from 1989. So perhaps maybe it needs an update, right? So that's a change that could be made, right? And then also exactly what you said, right? How are we looking forward? You mentioned mental health a couple of times. One thing that has been on my mind is that, I think it's still yet to really fully see the impacts of the pandemic, right? All the way through. And so that is something that's on my mind too, where it's like, hey, like, as I'm in these conversations, tell me what you're seeing, right? So that we have the ability that, once something comes up, it's like, actually, we thought about that already and we're ready. So those are the type of leaders that we need. I feel very confident. I feel very confident in the next generation, the new wave of leadership that is, hitting a city near you soon.
Now, Ms. Brown, I'm a little nervous, okay? Because I thought you was gonna give us breaking news. You was running for the mayor of Oakland. I thought it was
coming. Breaking news. It'll be good news though once the news is released. So, and
you make sure you come back to both sides of the conversation, Bray. I'm giving you some of that both sides of the conversation. Good karma, okay? We need some leaders over there. I don't know what's going on over there. Public safety, we got some issues over there. We need a new mayor. Go ahead, Adrian. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I want to add, you said something earlier, John. You said you're a disruptor. No, I think what you're doing as part of it is identifying the problem. So you're asking, how do we get to solutions? Not the solution, because there's no like magic bullet, is going to solve it all. But I'm going to bring it back locally, right? And then I'll bring it back into a little bit larger piece, which is you talked about schools closures in Oakland, right? Like a few days ago, we saw that the Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta, was investigating those school closures, right? 3 days ago, issued a letter and saw that there was disproportionately practices that shut down those schools that impacted Black students in poverty, and disabled students, right? So he wrote a letter to advise OUSC to say, hey, you got to really comply with the state advises in terms of how you consider school closures, because this is what we found, right? Now, that's a state office, right? People talk things being local. Well, where did Attorney General Bonta start? In Alameda, right? And then he went to the Assembly, and then went to AG, and he did not forget where he's from, right? What he represents. That's incredible to see that kind of accountability, right? So accountability works a few ways, right? How you remember where you come from, how you make sure you still care and show up for that community, right? And so for me, when I say, you talked about something, the divestment of money from the education system, when we start, so California stop investing in universities and building these UCs and CSUs and start building prisons, right? And how do we fill those places, right? And so when we see the priority, it's like people use the idiom all the time of put your money where your mouth is. Well, look how much of our national budget is put into the military and non-education. And yet we say we trust our most valuable, population, people, our young kids, to educators who we do not compensate for the duty that they deliver to us and they prepare for us, right? So we want them to come in this incredible profession that can shape the trajectory of our world. We don't compensate them. So how do you hold people accountable? We'll look at where our budget is and where we put our money and how we impact them and get those teachers. Because you said something earlier. You said, oh, I'm not an attorney. That doesn't matter, because the quantitative and qualitative information matters. When I was in community college, someone said, write a mathography. That's not a real thing. A mathography is not a real thing. He said, write your experience in math, Adrian, because you say you don't like it, but you're good at it. And I realized I had a lot of trauma around it. I didn't like it when I understood my family didn't have money and why they're controlling portions of what we're eating because we didn't have enough. But that mattered and it transformed me. And it is education. And you work with youth. I can't wait to find out what youth you work with, right? Because you're talking about proximity. How do you understand their journey and how they navigate pieces? As Brian Stevenson says, right? Proximity will give you a real understanding of what we need to do and what someone's experiencing. So you can write those policies and hold those people accountable. This is a great conversation.
I just ignite people. Okay, I don't know. I always tell people I'm not a genius. I just go in these meetings and I say what sometimes people want to say. They go, you know what, John, you're right. Oh, now we gonna change it. And they walk out. Then they take all the credit. I don't want the credit. Just get it done. Okay, just get it done. Sometimes it's not about how you get the victory. Just get to the victory. And maybe I'm the voice for sometimes I get these meetings, I'm screaming and hollering, and they, oh, yeah, you're right, John. Change it. So you're right. We all got to stay engaged. But I work with young people in San Francisco Juvenile Hall. I work with the most high-risk youth, okay? And that's what it's all about because I believe when you talk about transformation, young people need second chances. We have a system that's already telling us if third graders can't read at third grade, they go into prison. And I'm saying, why is third graders not reading? We don't have enough tutors. We don't have an investment. It's an investment. Because we're paying too much money for people in prison that we could be investing in our young people ahead of time to give them the things that they need. I know we're talking about, universal income. I mean, these folks are struggling. And I go in these meetings, I just think sometimes the privilege that a lot of folks have, they just disconnected to like what's going on. This is what I'm saying. Like, I need y'all to be the disruptors that people are putting y'all in this D18C. Y'all got to be the disruptors because the Congress and the citizens have lost touch of reality. I mean, these folks are talking about, $1,500 to live on. I said, where are you? What city are you guys in? I'm in San Francisco. And you can't get it. You can't even rent a 1-bedroom apartment for $5,000. So where do y'all get these numbers from? And this is what I'm saying about old policy, old thinking. We have to have a real investment and look into like what is going on to really make change. Because even at a $20 minimum wage here in California, it's still not enough to make it. Like, how do you engage youth? I was telling somebody, I'm let us get out of here, but I tell these folks, I go in these meetings, they say, oh, well, you can run a youth program, you can do this, and we'll pay kids, $100 a week. And I'm saying, the kids can go to In-N-Out Burger and make $800 a month, okay? Just going to right now, $20 an hour. So I said, after taxes, they can bring home, hey, how is this program going to be successful? Because these kids aren't showing up. I said, you talk about the most despaired communities. When you talk about food desert, I said $100, they might get to $100 in one day. By the time they get breakfast from McDonald's, by the time they eat lunch somewhere, and they're not eating at home, you spend $100 just trying to eat for one day. Now they got five days of the rest of the week to figure out how they're gonna make it. It just doesn't make sense. So I think we have to have a real conversation about what this investment looks like, where's these dollars going, how do we really impact young people? Not saying that young people don't need to struggle, but what I'm saying is when you look at the public safety aspect, and everybody's on this public safety kick. Why are these kids breaking into cars? Why are these kids robbing? Why are these kids? It's an economic crisis. When you look at the crimes, why these kids are coming to jail, it's economics. Okay, I just got hit on Monday. The guy hit me in the back, ran off. Why? Because he don't have insurance. You get what I'm saying? So these type of things are going to increase because we're not making the economic investment in communities. We don't have no partnerships. Like, how do we leverage that? We want crime to stop, but you're not making no investment in the young people. I'm just saying. So we got work to do. But I know this has been a long time. I get on my tangents. I'm blowing up the spot. Boom. They like, I'm never coming back to both sides of the conversation.
I definitely was thinking, hey, invite us back, and we'll have a very insightful conversation. See where we are, right? Because I've really enjoyed the conversation for sure.
No, I did. And again, congratulations on you both taking this civic duty serious and trying to make change. I'm always about, how do we change the narrative? And you all are the narrative shift changers. You are making that happen. So again, there is hope. There's opportunities. Community, get behind these candidates. If you in the Alameda County, March 5th is coming up. Go out there, check out the folks. Before we let you all go tonight, if there's anybody y'all want to give a shout out to, I want them to be mad. You came up all, I was there in the picket line with you. You know, go ahead and give some shout outs to the people before y'all go.
That's a setup in general, right? Because you will always forget someone. But I think I would love to just kind of thank you for having me. And thank you, Adrian, for joining me. I definitely will uplift Unified Voices for Democracy running in the 18th district. So myself, Adrian, Zach Bowling, Myra Alvarado, Regina Chogala, Sean Dugar, and Nicole Gaston. So check us out, unifieddems.org. Of course, if you want to learn more about me, check out my website, Rowena for Oakland. And then, of course, huge shout out to friends and family. Thank you for being there for me.
Same thing. Thank you all for having me, Rowena. Thank you for inviting me. And for the Both Sides of the Conversation team, you spend your time after your working day to be here this evening. This means a lot. I can't wait to meet you in person and break bread. But thank you so much. And to everyone who's given me a hand and lifted me up in my life, thank you, because I know it's going to happen one day again. And I'll be there to pick them up too. And I know that's why we're here tonight, to make sure that we can lift one another up. So I appreciate the time.
Man, I appreciate you, Rowena. Just appreciate you for reaching out. Community, I can't say. I reached out to her. She responded. She came up. See, I'm all about authentic people being real. So she showed up. I don't know. It's 9 o'clock at night, community. They're talking about you. They're here. I don't know. Some of those other people running for this, they sleep right now. They're here talking to you. I'm just saying. We got some real community folks trying to make change. Again, we'll definitely see in March where things go. D18, all the folks in Alameda County. Check your ballots. Get out there. Get involved. If you missed some of it, go back and look at the presentation they put together so you can understand what's going on to make change. Thank you all for being here tonight. And we'll be reaching out. If y'all have any events or things that y'all want us to share, please. That's what we do. Get the information out to the community so that we can connect folks. So thank you all for being here tonight.
Phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you for having us. Bye now.
All right, community. There you have it. 2 amazing candidates for running for office. It's up to y'all. Y'all got to get out there, do your civic duty. I don't know, Brother Mark. Man, I said I'm over here sweating. I took that COVID booster shot. I don't know. I didn't think I was gonna make it through the show tonight. I've been paid. I don't know, Brother Mark. We made it to the end.
Brother, I knew I could count on you. I knew I could count on you. As soon as you got engaged, your energy levels was gonna pick up. And as always, man, a phenomenal show. Definitely want to give a shout out to both of the candidates. Look here, community, it's good to be able to see and talk to and get to know the people that are trying to get into these offices, into these positions. Again, they're human, just like we all are, but they're stepping up to the front line, participating in the process. Connect with them, talk to them. You don't have to agree with them, but be engaged, be involved in the process. You can't be mad about the outcome of something you did not participate in. So, another great show, Bishop.
Man, there you have it, community. I know it's late. I'm sweating. I'm burning up. I feel like I'm in a pool of water. I'm in a pool pit there for real. I don't know. I'm going to get through the benediction, get us out here. Hey, community, all I can say is this. Tonight, on this Educational Thursday, you have been intentionally educated about your civic duty that you need to do. Participate. You heard the Brother Mark. Participate. Get involved. Find out who's in your community. Find out who's in your county. Do your part to understand the policy, the proposition that's being passed, because every vote, every law is going to impact you in some kind of way. I don't know. Today been amazing. It's just all about change. We're dreaming forward. It's the first of the month. It's Black History Month. I don't know. It's a lot of good things happening. Tomorrow, the HBUs is coming to San Francisco, the Divine Nine, all of the Zetas, all of the Deltas, AKAs. I don't know. It's going to be some stuff happening in San Francisco. But community, do your part. This election season, there's a lot of things going on. Get involved. Make sure your voice is heard. Don't just sit back and say, oh, my vote don't count. Make sure you get involved. We need some policy change. We need some new leadership. We need some innovative thinkers. We need some dismantlers, okay? All I gotta say is I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep uplifting the people, community. Do your part. This election season, get out the vote. Register to vote. Young people, find out what's going on. Get involved, participate. With that being said, Thank you all for tuning in. This Sunday, we will have a Sunday conversation. Next Sunday, no show. It's Super Bowl. 49ers, bang, bang, Niner gang. I'm just saying, make sure y'all go and check out our survey. You know, we're trying to enhance the platform. We're trying to find out from community what you guys like, what you don't like. I know a lot of y'all gonna say, Bishop, we don't like you, okay? I don't know. Maybe I need to step back some. I don't know. But take the survey. We've been putting it out in community. We're trying to enhance the topics, the conversations. We want to make it better for you. This is a community platform. It's for you to make the change. It's for you to change what we're talking about. It's for you to uplift the voices of the people. I don't know, but I'm here. All I can say is, even in my sweat, even in my chill, even in my pain, I will step for the people. Step with me, community. Let's make a change together. With that being said, prayers out to Sister Al. We'll see I on Sunday. Community. Let's do our duty, the civic duty. With that being said, good night now, community. Have a blessed evening.